Hello my friends, Touchnot here. Clan MacGillivray. Clan MacGillivray for July 2024. That's when I'm recording this. We're focusing on one Hattan clan a month on the Touchnot channel, as well as the Clan Hattan Association channels on YouTube. And each month one of the 12 clans fits rather nicely, so that's what we're doing. In July is slated for MacGillivray. Now I have a book which was sent to me by my great friend Cindy Mackintosh in California in the United States. I'm in Massachusetts in the US. The Minor Septs of Clan Chattan, Charles Fraser Mackintosh. This is an 1898 edition, I believe the first. I'm out in the back of the excuse me a second. I'm out in the back of the Touchnot studios in Clan Hattan Research Center. I'm distracted because there's a small rabbit right here, about, well, right on the other side of this chair that's sitting right next to my knee. And here she comes. She's my special friend. I don't know if you can see her. She's right behind my ankle right now. Hello. Oops. I want to read it to you from the MacGillivray section of this book. All right, it's a very nice book. It's a beautiful book. It's fragile, though. The Minor Septs of Clan Chattan, the MacGillivrays. I should say this book does go into a little detail about qualifying the word minor septs, saying that this does not mean anyone's lesser than anyone else in Clan Hattan. The use of the word minor is explained rather well, but I can't really go into that right now. But all right, the MacGillivrays. Of old, the Clan Hattan were reckoned under two classes. The first sprung of the chief's own house, and the second, those who had incorporated or attached themselves, though of other names than that of Mackintosh. Amongst the latter class, the MacGillivrays stood the first and oldest. For according to the Croy manuscript history, compiled by the Reverend Andrew MacPhail, who it is understood died minister of Boliskin in 1608, it is said that about the year 1268, Gillivray, the progenitor of the clan MacGillivray, took protection and dependence for himself and posterity of this fur-acquired Mackintosh, fifth of Mackintosh, who was killed in 1274 at age 36. Sir Aeneas Mackintosh, in his manuscript, privately printed in 1892 by the present chief, and the 28th of Mackintosh, gives that date as 1271. So that's quite a difference. The origin of the name may be looked for in the last part of MacGillivray, for invariably in Gaelic, and in my younger days, elderly people in good position place the accent on the last portion, and not, as is now invariably done in English, on the second. Betwixt the first and Duncan, whom I place as first of Dunmaglass, who lived about 1500, is a long step, and it is not the purpose of these papers to do other, as a rule, than deal with facts. It may be taken for granted that the MacGillivrays came from the west, but have been settled at Dunmaglass in the braes of Strathnairn and along the valley of Nairn long before we know their authentic history. In the year 1791, one Farquhar MacGillivray, aged 82, living on the banks of the River Nairn, was examined in court, and in answer to a query what his real name was, said he was called Farquhar MacGillivray in every part of the country, and that the MacGillivrays were followers of the MacGillivrays, having come at the same time from the Western Islands. The descent of the Dunmaglass family was reckoned very high in the Highlands, and the late John Lachlan, the 10th, who was exceedingly proud in his latter days a very reserved man, used in his cups to declare he was a descendant of kings. Dunmaglass, at least one half of it, belonged to the old Thanes of Calder, and it is first mentioned in the service of Donald as heir to his father Andrew in the lands in the year 1414. The other half belonged to a family named Menzies. Here's an illustration many of you are familiar with, the MacGillivray, from R. Ronald McIan's book or prints collection, I would call it, Clans of the Scottish Highlands. Yes, the other half belonged to a family named Menzies in Aberdeenshire, who in 1419 agreed to sell them to the above Donald Calder, who in 1421 gets a disposition thereof, described as lying within the barony of Kerdale, K-E-R-D-A-L-E. Kerdale was one of the extensive baronies belonging to the old estates and the earldom of Moray. But the estate having been broken up, the barony has been long in destitute. The estate of Dunmaglass, now in one, was of considerable value, being rated as a 4-pound land of old extent, equivalent to 2 freeholds. There is evidence of a Farquhar Visconti, styled of Dunmaglass, in the year 1547. I purpose beginning with his father, first Duncan MacGillivray, born probably about 1500. His son, Farquhar, found in 1547. His son, Alistair Moore, designated as Alistair Vic Farquhar Visconti of Dunmaglass, is found on 28th May 1578, having some connection with a William Farquhar in Maggie Carr, spouse of Provost William Cuthbert in Inverness. So he's referring to court records, most likely. Church records, perhaps. By 1609, when the great bond of union among the Clan Chattan was signed, Alistair was dead, and his son Farquhar, being a minor, those who signed for the clan MacGillivray were Malcolm Vic Bain in Dalcrombie and Ewan Vic Ewan in Abercalder, and Duncan Vic Farquhar in Dunmaglass. So it seems he was a young man or an infant, and 3 relatives or older men of the clan signed the 1609 Great Bond of Union among the Clan Chattan in his stead. It would also seem that the clan was at this time pretty numerous and influential, and the leader, Malcolm, son of Bain MacGillivray in Dalcrombie, in 1593, mention is made of Duncan MacGillivray in Dunmaglass. Farquhar, now this is the 4th man in the line he's mentioning. It was Duncan, Farquhar, and Alistair, now another Farquhar, the 4th of Dunmaglass, I believe. By the year 1620, and probably at a much earlier period, Dunmaglass had been wad-setted by the family of Calder to the MacGillivrays for 1,000 merks. In that year, Calder was much pinched, and upon Dunmaglass was to be raised other 2,000 merks, or to be sold for 5,000 merks. The first alternative was adopted, 2,000 merks being eked in 1622, E-I-K-E-D, it was eked. But the pecuniary pressure still continuing, the estate was feud to Dunmaglass. It may be here noted, though lying in the center almost of Inverness, these lands were by an arbitrary exercise of power by the Scottish Parliament annexed, at Calder's insistence, to the county of Nairn. So it's become government property or something, or almost neutral to either side of this dispute between neither MacGillivray nor Calder has the land at this moment, although it was Calder's wish to give it to the government. That's probably an important point to note. By few contract dated at Inverness, 4th April in 1626, John Campbell, Fiar of Calder, with consent of Sir John Campbell, life renter of Calder, his father, feud to Farquhar MacAllister of Down Maglash. It's just spelled differently, so I said it a little differently. Down Maglash. His heirs male and assignees whomsoever, all in singular the lands of Down Maglash, extending to a 4-pound land of old extent, with the mill, multures, mill lands, and sequels of the same, together with houses, biggings, tofts, crofts, woods, fishings, shielings, grazings, parts, pendicles, pertinence thereof, lying within the barony of Calder and sheriffdom of Nairn. The feud duty is 16 pounds Scots, with obligation when required to appear and accompany at his own expense the lairds of Calder in their progress and journey between Calder and Innerlochie or Rannoch, to assemble in all lawful conventions, armings, and royal combats, to attend 3 head baron courts to be held in the castle of Calder. So there's a lot of requirements that making the MacGillivrays cow down, unfortunately. To attend 3 baron courts to be held in the castle of Calder. This destination to heirs male was kept up, and under it Neil, the 12th laird, succeeded to Dunmaglass. So they pressed this these court requirements for quite a number of years. Dunmaglass, the earliest possession of the family, is a fine estate of some 17,000 acres, with a great mass of tableland on the summit, from whence the waters run eastward to the Findhorn, and westward to the Farragag. The old mansion house in which I slept a night, after a weary tramp from Donachton in Badenoch, over the Monaliath Mountains and across Crowclock in the Findhorn rivers, was built towards the close of the 17th century. Picturesquely situated on a piece of level ground, the western sides dropping rapidly to the river. Since the sale of the property, the old house has been wantonly destroyed. It's unfortunate. So I'm going to stop here, folks, and pick it up again with you if you don't mind. There's quite a bit more here, and about many other clans. I'll refer to this book very often. Thank you, Cindy Mackintosh, for sending me this wonderful volume. So Clan MacGillivray is the clan for July. Touch not, my friends.